that we're on Kaurna land and welcome any Aboriginal people who are present. And I want to say happy Diwali, everyone.
Yeah.
Today's the day. And thank you to the Onkaparinga City Council for making this exhibition possible, for supporting me through a grant. I'm so appreciative of that. Anna and the Florio Art House and the team here for always just being so supportive and making the exhibition seamless in our interactions. Thank you so much. Spark Interact and my beloved sister for the production of the catalogue and the layout and your long-term support, thank you. And of course to Arteles Creative Centre where I had the residency. And thank you everyone for coming along to help me celebrate this body of work, the completion of it. So I'm going to give a little artist talk, and to put this talk together, I sent out questions to my mailing list and on social media. I sent a question out and asked people to ask me what they would like to know about my experience. And the replies that I got really made me think and took my talk in a direction that I may not have necessarily gone in. So thank you to those who wrote to me. It's very interesting. So why Finland? Why Finland? Why on earth would you want to go to Finland? Well, this residency had been flirting with me for a number of years because it was silent, and it's unusual to get an artist residency that is silent. It wasn't, the whole thing wasn't silent, but the weekends were silent, and there was a real focus on silence. That was the name of the residency. And to be in Finland in snow, it's a pretty silent time of year. So I had the internal nature of it really called me. And I wanted the challenge as a landscape painter. I wanted to go there as a landscape painter because to be inside, when usually I'm out painting on plein air, I wanted to find out what I would do, and that was probably the biggest challenge because it was so cold, and I'd never lived in snow before. I didn't know how to walk in the forest in, knee-thigh deep snow to find my way around. And I also wanted to deepen my meditation practice and to have that combination of meditation and my painting practice rather than just going on a meditation retreat for a month. I wanted the combination, so that was really good too. It's what drew me. To give you an idea about these paintings and how they were created, I just want to set the scene about what my routine was like there. So I'd wake at about 6 to 7 a.m. and I'd make tea and I'd watch the light and the weather emerging from outside. It was a long, slow dawn because the light just emerges very slowly. There are no birds, it's really quiet, and I would sit on my couch and just feel the dawn coming in. And the thing that really struck me was what a huge contrast it was to Australia, where I wake up at 5 a.m. and the birds are just so loud. It's raucous out there. I want to share a reading from my diary. Okay. The day is overcast and misty. Fragments of dark forms momentarily appear. It's snowing and rain will appear next month. Outside is still around -20 degrees in the mornings. Triple glazing and heating is more than a blessing. I layer up. Long underwear, beanie, double socks, trousers, waterproof pants, jumper, gilet, down jacket, scarf, waterproof coat, 2 layers of gloves, waterproof boots, and shuffle through the snow to the next building. Sometimes I follow the footsteps of others if the snow is light, but if it's icy, I have learned it is safer to create my own footsteps and seek out the softer snow. I am told that broken legs are the most common form of injury during the winter months. At the door of the meditation hall, I have to brush snow and ice off the steps. I brush my shoes on a grate before entering the boot room. It then takes a few minutes to remove most of the layers of my clothing. The boot room is a transition zone between -20 to 18 degrees. My skin tingles as I enter the warm house. So the meditation hall is in the next building, and it's in the attic, and it's got floor to ceiling windows that overlook a snow-covered forest. And we sit in silence, listening to the building creaking and cracking once the sun begins to emerge. And later in the month, snow and ice would crack and slide off the roof and thud to the ground. Icicles would fall and shatter with a crash. But mostly it was silent, a deeply felt silence. Most days after breakfast, I would paint for 3 hours. And then at 1 p.m, when it was a little warmer, I would go for a walk in the snow, very cautiously. It gave me a chance to look and feel and remember and to take some photos. So the slow pace really worked for me. When it was a blizzard, of course, it was impossible, but I so cherished my walks out in the snow. And then after lunch, I would come home, have a nap, and then paint for another 3 hours. I worked mostly in gouache, so all of those gouache paintings, or most of them, were done while I was in Finland, all of the landscapes. Then in the evening, we would have dinner, and you make your own, and I'd go to meditation. And the evenings were then very quiet and contemplative, because there was no mobile service, no television, no internet. I'd have to book the internet once a week. But the residency was also a lot of fun with good-hearted people from around the world doing very crazy, wacky things. Most of the time I worked in my studio, in my room, but there was a big, large shared studio that people would go and play and intermingle and work and play just kind of intermingled with what people did. So I could kind of join in whenever I wanted. And we shared dinners and birthday parties, we had bonfires in the snow, we made pizzas, and of course the Northern Lights. We saw the Northern Lights while eating popcorn outside to stay warm. The residency also had a working sauna, because in Finland saunas are really a big thing. And we'd fire the sauna up every second day. Finnish people say sauna because sauna is a Finnish word. It's not sauna. I get corrected for saying that. It's sauna. So I want to read you a little bit from my diary about saunas. Saunas are an intrinsic part of Finnish culture that encompass spiritual dimensions. During a sauna, you wash a lot and you drink a lot. It's a cleansing ritual. The rituals around saunas are an art in themselves, because saunas take a lot of preparation and time to clean up. I learned how to build a small fire and boil a barrel of water, and how to set a different kind of fire in the sauna room. I learned what wood to burn and when. And then next was the laying down of wooden slats on the floor, then setting out the buckets and the dippers. The sauna room needs to be checked and monitored for when the room gets to 100 degrees Celsius before you can invite guests in. Then there's the art of different ways of dropping cold water onto a very, very hot stone to create steam and increase the temperature of the sauna room. Slowly, one drop at a time, or quickly if you pour in a haphazard way. People sit very still, and talking is minimal in a sauna room. It's enough just to breathe. Going from 100 degrees to -20 outside is the most ecstatic feeling in the world. People sometimes roll in the snow, or they jump in an ice-covered lake, a black hole in the ice. and some days were organised just around saunas. Finland is sometimes said to be the happiest country in the world, and I had to wonder if it had something to do with saunas. The experience of saunas take you to the edge of bliss and discomfort. Your skin and body know about it. There's not much space for thinking, and people were pretty happy after a sauna. The catalogue that I've produced, while it's called a catalogue, it's really a series of 3 essays and some of the gouache, images of some of the gouache paintings, but it's a reflection of, it's a snippet of my experience in Finland. So I want to just talk briefly about the process behind all of the works, what this exhibition is about. I fell in love with snow while I was there, the different qualities of it, from powdery to hard and icy to wet and sludgy. And I think Finnish people have something like 40 different names for the different qualities of snow. And snow can be brilliant white or brown and murky. But what I loved most was the way snow reflects colour. The different angles of snow and ice in relation to the forests or the buildings. And then also in March, the sun is at a really low angle. So it's just like this, it's like a jewel that's reflecting all of these colours. The colour bouncing off each other. It's quite, when you start to look, it's quite an amazing, I don't know, it's like a diamond and you see all the different colours reflecting. The air is really crisp and clear because the snow dampens everything down, the sound, the dust particles. So the colours are really vibrant. It's incredibly colourful. And snow glows at night. It's light outside, especially when there's a full moon. Like in this painting of spring equinox, this is like a lake, a frozen lake in the background, but the amount of light coming off the snow is really quite incredible. And Finnish people say they're not happy in wintertime until it snows. So I'd go out on these looking adventures, and the looking adventures also had their challenges. The greatest challenge, of course, was the colours of winter, which is so different to here, and the landscape, because it was an unfamiliar forest. I really didn't have any idea what to do because I couldn't go outside and paint. And the first week I kind of stumbled around trying to work out what I was doing. I made a whole lot of colour charts while looking out of the window. I gridded up like 1 centimetre squares. I did lots of grids, and I would just look out the window, look at the colours and make colour notes, different kinds of greys, and I discovered muted purples and blues and greens, colours that I was not used to using, until I began to see many more variations of colour in the snow under different lighting conditions. So on these looking adventures, I would go out in these looking adventures, I would close my eyes and remember what I'd seen and feel what I was experiencing. I also took photographs, but later I found that, like, in taking in that experience through closing my eyes and remembering, I could repeatedly go back into these memories through meditation. And this is what really enabled me to bring out the colour and the atmosphere in the landscapes. And I found that I could access that once I was back in Australia. I really wanted snow to feel like snow in my paintings, to feel like the different qualities, when it was icy, when it was fluffy, and I haven't done that many landscape paintings, but I wanted to convey something of what I could remember, to have that sense of solidity and lightness and fluffiness. The gouache studies, all these at the back, they were really important because making those enabled me to slow down my painting experience, or just my experience. I could slow the experience down through painting and studying different weather conditions and the relationships between colour and light. So looking, remembering, noticing my body's response. And this was an experiential way of note-taking. I developed a new skill and I learned how to work from my memory, and that now plays a much bigger part in my painting practice. So I realised that through my body it's like a filing cabinet in a way. I found I could access these memories. I could look at a photograph and then go into the memory of it, what it was like to be in that environment, what it was like to walk in the snow, and I could remember what the snow felt like and move from place to place. And then once I had a felt sense of what it was like to be there, then I knew I was ready to paint. It wasn't just from looking at a photograph or looking at the gouache painting. I had to have that felt sense. And I did this every day. I had 3 paintings on the go at the same time. And these memory excursions were like little snippets into my daily walks. So yes, the gouache studies were more important than any photograph, because it actually gave me it was like a very specific way into the colour, the way that colour was reflected. And photographs were useful towards the end. Next week I'm running a gouache painting workshop if anybody's interested. It's going to be here at the Art House over 4 weeks. You can find out about it through the front counter or come and talk to me. The still life paintings, I just want to say a few words about those. These were experiments in colour. I really wanted to get that sense of being indoors and outdoors, and how outdoors and indoors kind of combine, because painting is just it's a two-dimensional surface and we're creating an illusion. But how do we get different kind of feeling tones? The feeling tone of a landscape, and how I could bring that into a still life painting. And also I was ready to paint from life again. So in some of the paintings I used like the colour palette from landscapes, and I applied it to still life painting. For example, like with this one here, you can see there's a similarity in the colour palette there. I wanted to maintain some of the feeling tone from my experience in Finland. In other still life, I combined still life painting with some of the gouache studies, and the gouache paintings sometimes serve as objects in my still life, like in that one there, and that one. I wanted to combine or question what is outside and what is inside, and what is a painting. Paintings on walls have often served us as windows into other psychological spaces, and I was playing with that. I've also composed some still lifes as landscapes, like in that one over there, to create a sense of distance. It's another play on, is this a still life or is it a landscape, or are we looking into a landscape through a window? So still life painting was a way for me to also transition from Finland back to Australia, and to painting from life again. So this exhibition, as Moira has pointed out, she didn't need a prompt from me. This exhibition is an invitation to spend time looking, to stop, to look, to breathe, and to feel your body and look some more. Linger with the painting and let the image into you. Find out what it brings up in you. This only happens when you spend time and pay attention. And you are attending to your own experience. You are learning to trust the images, the memories and feelings that come up in you. And so begins your looking adventure. Thank you so much for coming along and helping me celebrate, and I hope you enjoy all of what's on show.